let's do this. We do have that clip, so.
So I want to move on to other statements you've made, other issues. You do focus on culture war related issues, your distaste, hatred for secularism. I want to start off without putting words in your mouth. I'm going to show a video of something you said just yesterday on the Dennis Prager show that I thought was fascinating. So let's take a look at that and we'll discuss.
The computer sticker phenomenon is crazy. It was actually one of the biggest shocks I had.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
On your computer right here, people, instead of just having a blank back.
Oh, I see.
They would
have messages.
Yes, it would either be.
And what was the common message?
I heart women, or just the female sign, the circle and the arrow.
I heart women on a woman's computer?
Yes.
All of this is proof to me that women need men. These women are manless. They may have hookups, but they're manless. And they might have been fatherless too. Ending with my generation, I would say ending with the baby boomers, but certainly through then, a young woman thought a lot about, do I have a boyfriend? Mm-hmm. What will my wedding be like? What will I wear? Who will be there? Who will the guy be? That I believe is healthy and normal for a young woman. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. That has been knocked out by the feminist left. And if you think about it, you're a weak female.
So fascinating statements there. You seem to believe that women who love themselves, who love women, who feel confident about being women, tend to be manless and lonely. Do you genuinely think that? Do you think I'm manless and lonely? I think women rock.
I said that in general, women need men, and I've said 1,000 times that in general, men need women. The fact that that's controversial is a statement about what's happened to our culture.
But you got triggered by a story about women who have laptop stickers that just say positive things about women.
To me, my mind immediately went to, especially after hearing him talk about back in my day, well, the good old days, women would toil away thinking about their potential boyfriends and partners, and they didn't care about anything else. I just thought about how obsessed he is with women staying home, having babies, catering to their husbands, just the traditional 1950s nuclear household. It seems like, based on everything I've seen from him, he just longs for those days. And I brought up the point that, listen, if women want to stay home and be homemakers, I mean, more power to them. I don't look down at them. I don't disrespect them. I think that's actually, just being completely honest, staying home and raising kids, in my opinion, is literally the hardest job in the world. I couldn't do it. I would lose my mind. That's why I don't do it. So I have a lot of respect for those women, but he seems to think that the reason why those days are gone is solely due to cultural changes.
Exactly.
And so I brought up, no, the whole point of feminism is to create a situation, to create a culture in which women get to make decisions about what they do with their lives. So if they want to be homemakers, they should be able to do that. But you can't do that in today's economy. Literally, both partners, both members of a partnership have to work in order to make ends meet. And the reason why I bring that part of the conversation up is because he just said, I disagree, and provided no argument for why he disagrees. And so going back to the whole thing about corporations, underpaying workers and all of that, no, he's totally on board for that. In fact, he completely denies that that's even a problem.
No, absolutely. And this always drives me crazy because, look, I am somebody who, I guess at this point, in terms of income, I'm mostly a journalist, but also an adjunct professor. I live in a big city, whatever. I have the most cookie cutter socially liberal views imaginable. Nothing I have to say about that is interesting or unexpected given, who I am and background and all that stuff, right? I think any kind of anti-discrimination, anything, whatever. Like, I think what you think, I think. But also, I love that you made that point, because this is such a bait and switch with all of this shit, right? Like he, we were talking earlier about, whatever, woke capital, woke corporations. I wrote this article a couple weeks ago for that was about why basically about possible 2024 candidates, and I'm making the case for Bernie. It was actually published in a right-wing magazine because like the editors were writing the sort of case for Trump, and so I was responding to it. And in the article, one of the points I made, this is actually not sure what the legal name of this dude is, but it's the person who does the soaked on left on Twitter who like pointed it out to me initially. That in the article, one of the points I made is like, look, the funny thing about this is like if you look at like complaints about woke corporations or whatever, like one of the examples they love is James Damore, the guy who's fired from Google because he wrote this memo that said like, oh, there are fewer women in tech because women are, I don't know, innately biologically not disposed to tech or some stupid shit like that, and he was fired. Okay, when all that was litigated, that was when Trump was president, and so the National Labor Relations Board was full of all these like hardcore right-wing union busters who were so anti-worker that they sided with Google against James Damore. And,
oh wow!
Yeah, exactly.
I did not know about that follow-up. That's incredible. Well, I mean, it's unsurprising, but I love that you followed up on that.
Yeah, because they don't want to weaken the ability of employers to fire people. Like that's so it makes perfect sense from their perspective. And it's the same thing here. That like you have in like, okay, look, I think and there was a point, we don't have this clip, there was a point in your debate when he was like insisting that if you said in a college class that like what you really cared about in life was as like a young woman, which was like finding husband, having kids or whatever. And I think that like people would have a big problem with it. And you sort of said, I don't really think most people care that much about this. I will say, like I teach college students. I actually don't think, sure, if you said it like Dennis Prager, people would think you were a weirdo, but like if you express the underlying sentiment, right? You said, I don't really care that much about, work stuff. What I care about most in life is relationships and the human connections. And, I really want to have kids. I don't think anybody would blink an eye at that. I don't think anybody would have the slightest problem with it. That's a like 99.999% of, normal college students in most places would be totally fine with that. But like also, like, okay, I actually do think, I agree with you. I think that like wanting to stay home and take care of kids, full time, I think is a completely valid life choice. And I don't, I prefer to have a society, see above, where there wasn't any like gender-based pressure on anybody in particular to make that choice, right? But like, if anybody, right, male, female wants to do that, great. I think like a decent society should like facilitate that as an option, for people, should give people the ability to do it. So I guess Dennis and I agree. So my question for him would be, okay, great. What's the plan to raise wages to the point where you could actually raise kids on a single income?
There's no plan. There's no proposed policy. Again, everything boils down to culture for them, even if the argument they're making makes no sense. And like part of it is, I don't think that Dennis Prager is really at all connected or attached to reality, because he provided, by the way, just quickly going back to his weird anecdote about young women in a college physics class declaring that they want to be stay-at-home moms. He couldn't provide any data. Like I was like, where do you get that from? Like, what are you citing? What are you basing that on? He's like, I live in reality. And I was like, okay, so do I. But if we really take a step back and look at just the whole situation, like I still teach, I'm taking a break now, but like not too long ago, I was teaching a journalism class at a university. I'm more connected to what's going on culturally on a college campus than 74-year-old Dennis freaking Prager, who couldn't provide a shred of evidence to back up the argument that he was
He
making.
actually runs a university.
Well, right. Good. Fair point. Fair point. But anyway, he just wants to boil everything down to it's our culture. And I think he's probably doing well for himself and doesn't really know what it's like for the average American, right? The average person who's just like literally working a full-time job and still doesn't make enough money to pay rent, just to pay rent. He doesn't know what that's like. And so he thinks he could continue using this like culture-based argument in response to everything that's happening in the country. And it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. And I don't understand how anyone who might buy into his brand of politics gets bamboozled by this, because this economic system that's crushing people doesn't just impact the left, it impacts the right as well. So how do you listen to that argument, especially like as a woman who might want to stay at home to raise her kids? How do you listen to him say that and then argue that like, no, you don't need a dual income household. Like you could totally survive with one person earning money. How do you buy that? I don't get it.
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive postgames on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.